Welcome back to another episode of TVGP's Critical Misses. I'm your host, Boston, and joining me as always is Moonpeer.
Hi.
We've moved a couple years here into the future of the internet. In 1995, we're watching The Net.
Oh no.
I think this was the genesis of this season. Was like, hey man, remember
No.
the
It was
internet in the
Hackers.
90s?
It was
Oh, okay.
Hackers because
It
I
was
haven't
Hackers.
seen Hackers. I haven't
Yeah,
seen this one either, for the record.
yeah.
But
I
it's
feel like
definitely Hackers.
I feel like they're kind of um, two peas in a pod about wow, the internet is an amazing and scary place. This is like the what happens when your digital life gets taken over by somebody bad.
Well, 2024 is definitely a year when that can happen on a
That's
regular
right.
basis. Also,
right.
Hackers came out the same year, funnily enough.
That's right. So we will be watching Hackers next for
Yes.
our next episode here.
This is a this is a quadrilogy season, lol.
Yes. Yes. And not a 6-movie quadrilogy season again.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. But yeah, this is The Net. So you haven't seen this. I haven't seen this
Nope.
in over a decade. I'm fairly sure. What do you know about The Net?
So Hey, Boston.
Yeah.
It's 29 years since this came out, by the way.
Yeah, I'd rather not think about that in general. I'm good. Thanks.
Whew.
Yeah.
Sorry, that just reminds me of the memes where it's like, hey, when someone says a video game 10 years ago, they're not talking about this, Final Fantasy 3 screenshot. They're talking about this, Final Fantasy 10 screenshot. It's like, oh no.
Ouch. Ouch, my heart.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I literally know nothing about it. Nothing
Okay.
at all. The only thing I know is thanks to recording this with you, Sandra Bullock is right here.
That's right.
So
Sandra
Sandra Bullock is in this movie.
We've also loved in The Proposal, which is probably not the movie she wants to be remembered for, but I like
did
it.
we watch that?
No. Have you ever
We've
seen
both
that?
seen it.
Yeah.
Yes,
We haven't watched it on the show yet.
It's a Ryan Reynolds movie. Of course I've seen it.
Yeah, that's true.
The only one I haven't seen of his is the blatantly fanboy Free Guy, which I'm actually curious to see.
Yeah, we'll fit that in a season.
We'll find it
here somewhere.
We'll find a season full of pointless references.
That's right.
We can do Ready Player One at the same time. If
That's
you
right.
haven't
Put the
seen
Minions movie in there. Be a good threefer. Yeah. Oh man. Yeah, go ahead.
Was this her first movie after Speed? Because I know Speed was her breakout role, essentially.
Yeah. That's a great question. Let me pull up her filmography here on Wikipedia. It seems to be her next real big hit. She was in While You Were Sleeping after Speed, between Speed and The Net, but I feel like that movie was big, but I don't think as big as kind of these two movies.
I mean, she's one of the biggest grossing women of Hollywood, correct?
She's got to be. Yeah. I mean, at the very least for Miss Congeniality.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but is she the Madonna of movies? Because I don't think she's ever been typecast. Ever.
Also, apologies to Sandra Bullock if you're listening. We're not trying to compare you to Madonna.
No,
although
you're probably a much better person than Madonna is.
I'd like to see Sandra Bullock just appear again after being out of the limelight, just with a British accent. So like, hey, it's always been me, from England. It's like, wait, no.
Well, she married an English person, so it makes sense.
Yeah.
Have you heard how easily Emily Blunt can slip between an American and British accent? It's hilarious.
Yeah, but she's very talented. Yeah, I wonder, because she's been in
a lot of stuff,
a considerable amount of stuff. That's a good point. And here she is, trapped in the internet? ? Not really.
Question mark.
That's Lawnmower Man.
I don't even know.
Yeah.
I do
We're
not
not
want to
watching
go back to that
Lawnmower.
movie. I do
Yeah.
not want to go and see that horrific approach to people with mental illnesses,
Yeah.
and the disabled. I just no.
Yeah.
I didn't.
In
No.
case you're not reading between the lines, we're not watching that for this season. We probably won't watch it in general. It's like the Ace Ventura thing, where it's like, yeah, we're not. That's not. No thanks. We're good.
It was a great movie for its time.
That's right.
It is not so much a great movie in modern times.
Insert your year here.
Yes.
Yeah. Also, probably never gonna do a great of its time season, because a lot of it is like,
No.
ooh, the transphobia, huh? No, yikes, it's way worse than I remembered. So we'll skip through that.
He's looking at you, Ace Ventura, specifically for that.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking of. Yeah. What were we talking about? Oh yeah,
Sandra Bullock, who is
Sandra
also in
Bullock.
the Minions movie, apparently.
She's very good in the Minions movie.
This is what I'm saying, is she's the Madonna of movies, because she has reinvented herself, it feels like, with every role. She's one of these women who has been in such a variety of stuff, such a variety of roles and everything else. She even got the whole let's make her pretty by taking her glasses off treatment in Miss Congeniality. Like, she did. Like, she just did.
Hold on, I want to. So, if anyone hasn't seen any of the Despicable Me or the Minions movies, it has like the most famous actors doing actually good voice acting roles. Because usually it's like you take a non-voice actor and you put him in these movies, and it's all sort of like, hello, it's me, a minion, haha, below. You know, it's like it's a dry read. But they're all really famous actors that do a really good job. Sandra Bullock's character is called Scarlet Overkill, which is really great. But the listing here on Wikipedia is Jennifer Saunders as Elizabeth II, comma, the Queen of the United Kingdom. Oh yeah, not Elizabeth II, the one that works at the subway down the street. Like, come on, man. Her Elizabeth II is in blue on Wikipedia. She's famous enough. Just click on that bad boy. Anyways, The Net.
The Net, yes. The Net.
I don't know.
Starring Sandra Bullock.
Yeah. Starring Sandra Bullock.
Okay.
And a computer.
Okay. Let's do some guesses here. I don't know.
Okay.
So,
and I don't
is this going to be a more human-based thing, like a more personal-based thing? So, like, from what I remember, and I don't remember much, potentially, I think Jumpin' Jack Flash is based on regular people having like bad experiences with the internet.
Okay.
That one is literally, I think it's a case of mistaken identity. I'm pretty sure like Jumpin' Jack Flash is the Deep Throat of not Deep Throat, whatever that movie is that got a bunch of college girls doing the Deep Throat thing. I can't remember. Kirsten Dunst was in that movie. What was that movie? I don't know. Anyway, is it going to be a more personal story of like regular people and their issues with the internet? Is it going to be localized government? Is it going to be national government? Is it going to be War Games? Wait, wasn't War Games in this at some point? Or did we cut War Games and move it to somewhere else?
We cut War Games to put it somewhere else. I don't remember where.
Okay. Well, either way. Is it going to be like thermonuclear war, like kind of situation?
Right.
That's why War Games came into my head, because I know what that's about.
Right.
I don't know. And it's right after Speed. So is she going to be the hapless person again, who's just caught in a bad situation, or is this going to be pre-Miss Congeniality, where she's the one who has all of the power and the ability and everything else that's going on?
Right. I'm more curious about what the technology of the time is, and how much of it is going to be like I'm using like one of those Macs that has a color screen and a mouse, very fancy.
No, come on. This is 95. There is no mice in this movie. Not a chance there's mice in this movie.
Well, now we got to do Mice Watch.
Yes. What is the first movie that we watch in this season that has mice in it?
That's right. Yeah, I guess because the last one didn't.
It's probably going to be Swordfish.
Probably. that'd be a bummer if it. Maybe that'll be the future tech here in the net. Is like, oh, you use a mouse. It's like that one Star Trek movie where he's trying to talk into the mouse.
GUIs are not big at all
No,
until
absolutely
much later,
not.
I think.
Couldn't even jump in Doom, man. It was a
Nope.
different time.
Yep.
What's the first movie this season that's going to have Doom in it?
I mean, Hackers probably.
Probably. Or is that a Duke Nukem 3D movie? Don't correct me. I don't know when that movie came out. Or that game came out.
Was Duke Nukem 3D even out by then?
Probably not. I mean, look.
I'm Googling too, dude. You don't have to worry about it. I'm looking it up right now.
1996.
So no, it was not out at that time.
All right.
Which means that we're looking at Doom, probably.
Yeah. All right. Well, anyways, I think we've rambled enough around the net.
For the record, I'm going to go with a government. More similar to last season, like a government conspiracy thing that they get into.
Yeah.
Because early internet was always about government conspiracies. It wasn't about like regular people losing their money or anything like that. It was always big picture government issues.
Yeah.
We got to cover this up. Let's black box this. Let's blank page this, to use the British parlance.
That's right.
And take care of someone.
That's right.
For those of you who don't know, a blank page is a hit order by the British government. Just so you know.
Right. All right. Well, on that note, let's go watch the film.
Yep.
Hey, Moon, we were both wrong. It was Wolfenstein 3D.
Yes.
Wolf 3D.
It was.
How did I not? I played that so much as a kid. I have no idea how I forgot Wolf 3D. So I feel like that's a pretty good cut for this too, of just like, yeah, they're recognizable but still sort of like, all right, she's playing some real stuff here.
Yes.
Yeah.
She even compliments the game at one point.
That's true. She's a big fan of id, you know. Yeah.
Well, who wasn't at that point?
That's right. One of the biggest arguments my friends and I got into in high school, people will find this funny. This very much of the time, is it id software or ID software? Because it is id, but like at the time, there was no one was saying it out loud, and the magazine's just like, yeah, it's just id software. It's like, which pronunciation?
It's id because you play as the hero dude who can't be stopped, and therefore you are the ultimate expression of id. It is id. Right. It is not ID.
That's right.
That
was my argument, man. Why would you make a software company called ID Software? It doesn't make any sense. Because
you'd do that if you were working to try and get government contracts. Is why you'd do that.
That's true. And then, just like Sandra Bullock, you get your identity stolen. It's the net.
Yes.
Yeah.
Can we
go ahead?
Let's just get it out of the way. Like, this movie shows a lot of the quote unquote problems of computer-based society.
Yes.
This dude dies because he was injected with insulin and he wasn't diabetic.
Right.
Who would have thunk it?
Right.
We got there. None of that has changed, dude. Everything is still the exact same.
Well, and it's sort of thematically very similar to Sneakers too. Sneakers was more about like getting into the back systems to affect people at a large scale, and this one was sort of, I'm in a mess with this lady who got this disc, sort of by accident, sort of on purpose, but it has the secret internet backdoor here, and we're gonna mess up her life to get the disc.
It's the whole thing of, hey, it's capitalism again. That's right. The villain.
Ta-da!
The backdoor is put in by the guy who owns the software behind all of this stuff.
It's so good too. Like, I really like that thing of just like, yeah, of course the dude who's selling all the government security software is the one that is like head of the Praetorians or whatever. Like, that's really good, man.
I mean, it is, but it's also like it's literally the same plot as the previous one, and
Right.
probably the same plot as the next one, and the next one, and the next one.
Probably.
Capitalism is the problem.
That's right. Yeah,
Go listen to the last 4 words of a Waypoint/Remap Radio if you want to see
that's
what I
right.
think of capitalism.
That's right. Yeah, this movie starts off on a pretty high note, I think, too, of the Secretary of Defense shooting himself.
I need to talk about this.
Uh-huh.
I have seen that scene before.
Oh, okay.
I have never seen this movie, but I have seen that scene before.
That's wild.
And I
mean,
don't know if a different movie starts with the exact same start.
I mean, that's a pretty famous sculpture in DC, so like there has to be plenty of other movies there. But like
But I'm talking about the exact same way. I'm talking about the dude who's saying goodbye to his kids and then pops himself.
I wonder if that's a famous scene here. We need Mackie in for this episode.
Yeah.
But like
I've definitely seen that scene before. I don't know if it's this movie, I don't know if it's a different movie, but I have 1,000% seen that particular scene. Right. The whole sequence of it too, like where he's on the phone, then he gets in the car, and then the car goes elsewhere, and then he gets to his final resting place, pun intended. I've seen that before. I definitely have. Whether or not something ripped it off from this, but
right, probably.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Then we meet Angela Bennett, who is Sandra Bullock here, who I thought did a really good job throughout this entire movie. I feel like the biggest hurdle you have with someone playing a role like this, where it's like, oh, I'm this technical kind of what is her freelance systems analyst. Like you have to sell the fact that you are a work from home, nearly shut in kind of tech nerd, which
I mean, she has a standing dinner arrangement with her pizza place, so yes.
Right. And like especially in 95, like nowadays I feel like you could probably make this and sell it because there's been enough like internet culture osmosis, but in 95 that had to have been kind of a larger undertaking, and especially to make a lot of it from the tech side pretty believable. Like it's obviously not 100% correct, because no media really ever is going to be, because doing this stuff is boring if you're doing it like for your job or for real life. It's a lot of like, I'm gonna run this command for 2 hours. Oh, that didn't work. All right, let me change one of the arguments. Whoops, that's gonna run for 2 more hours. All right, that didn't work. It's just like, that's not.
It's like the coding Destiny. Ha!
Right.
Burn.
Got him. But I feel like she did a really good job, and I feel like it makes a lot of sense with her in this role, and I think she does a really great job. One of my notes here, only 2 notes. One of my notes here is I really miss people talking on the phone in movies, like a handset phone, because nowadays it'd just be like, I'm on my smartphone, tip, 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 tip. But her calling somebody at the office, and him, like, I so badly miss seeing people, like regular workers in movies, talking on phones, because he's hanging onto it for dear life. Like, it's clearly the end of his day or something. It's been a long week or whatever, and he's just leaning on this phone like it's the last thing that's keeping him awake.
So here's a fun part. I work in an office, and go listen to pre-show episodes if you want to hear like me talk about my workplace. I cannot. The left side of my neck and shoulders are shot from spending way too much time doing the phone tilt.
Yeah, the cradling with your shoulder.
Yeah, exactly. While you're trying to type with 2 hands and everything else at the same time, like they are shot. Like and it's probably not just that; it's also arthritis, and I'm pretty sure I've probably got a disc issue at some point. But I don't really want to go for surgery right now, so
good call.
I'm just gonna ignore it until it
It'll be fine.
goes away or paralyzes me, one of the two.
Yeah.
But literally, I if I tilt my neck to the left, it hurts.
Oh,
If I
yeah.
move my head to the left, it hurts. And like every now and again, I'll be sitting there playing video games, and I'll just like stretch my neck a little bit, like, and I'm talking like minuscule movements,
Right.
and all of a sudden you just hear as my neck pops, and it's just like that really hurt.
That's not a noise my body should be making. Oh man.
I have a headset now, which is a
good.
good thing,
Yeah.
but it's just like it's just like too much time on the phone, and not just this job but previous jobs too, like because I was working in an office before headsets were widely available, popular, or cheap enough to like produce for office workers.
Oh, for sure.
So like I've been doing this since I was like 19, 20, 21 kind of thing, and I'm almost 40 now. That's like 20 years of tilting my head to the left.
That's right. 20 years of taco neck. Remember that commercial?
No, dude, I'm English. I didn't get that commercial.
Bummer. That's a good one. But I like the Mozart's ghost sort of thing that did they ever explain what it is? Is that the virus disc that she gets as Mozart's ghost?
No. The virus disc is from the game. So she takes the virus out of the game, like she basically takes the.
Oh, right.
So here's the fun part. So she's testing the game. She finds the virus. She's just like, yo, just don't hit the escape key and everything will be fine. So she isolates it, takes it out of the code, sends him back to real code without the thing so he can put it back on shelves because they recalled it because it had a virus in it. Good job.
That's right.
The virus itself is on the one disc. The Mozart's ghost is the weird stuff on this disc that she gets from Dale. That's the front end fakery for the backdoor accessibility, essentially, for the Victorians.
Because nowadays it would just be
it's just a bunch of gibberish, basically.
Yeah, and like nowadays it'd be like an interactive website. Probably about 10, 15 years ago it'd be a Flash site. Just like, I went to this weird website, it has like a gibberish name and Mozart's ghost, and there's this symbol on the bottom.
Stickdeath.com.
That's exactly like
there's a blast.
That's right. It's on Newgrounds and it has a weird gibberish name. But like that was also kind of the time too, of just like, yeah, here's a weird disc I bought at like a flea market or something, or like a computer show. Because if you didn't grow up around the same time we did, there were computer shows, which is basically like a ballroom full of nerds with tables and discs and stuff, and they're kind of selling things that they bought or distributing, sometimes things that they were making or they found or whatever, or things that they're downloading off the early internet. And Mozart's Ghost very much does seem like one of those weird, like, you don't really do anything, but I bought it for $2 at the computer show, whatever.
They still exist. They're just a lot more complicated now. Now it's all about the drones that they can make for you.
That's true. That's a bummer.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So she finds the like weird pi symbol in it, and she's just like, yeah, that's weird. But I'm going on vacation, so not.
But it always takes everybody to different, very highly secure websites. By the by.
Right. I do like that kind of effect on the screen where it's just garbling, gibberish, hopping between a couple of different pages.
So, I think this movie does a very good job in never portraying coding.
Yes.
That is something. So, like, we saw you said yourself, Sneakers. It had some very real things in it, like using the sound thingy, whatever it's called. Using that, I think they do a very good job here of like sidestepping the quote unquote early internet, which is the thesis of this entire season, by not ever showing anyone really doing coding. There's a lot of like flashes to the screens and shows of mouse movements and things like that,
and IP addresses and subnet masks and stuff like that.
Yeah, but there is never anybody like writing code. There's never any like keyboard trickery. Like, I only noticed it towards the end because she's doing the deep dive to find out who the perpetrator is, and it's doing a lot of like showing what she's looking at, not showing what she's doing, or not showing like
That's a good point.
quote unquote hacking into any of these points. And I think it probably stands up better because it doesn't do that.
Yeah.
We'll get to a really bad representation of that this season. I can guarantee you we will get to that, a really bad representation.
Right.
But I think that's probably one of the best things about it is it doesn't just go, oh, look, here's Sandra Bullock doing coding when she's not typing fast enough. It's not the right code. It's not breakdownable, or it's not cinema sinsable, we'll say. Like, you can't sit there and break it because it's not showing you anything that she's doing in particular.
Yeah, I follow a subreddit called It's a Unix System, and it's all the, like...
Is that literally the Jurassic Park reference? Is that where that comes from?
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus.
But I love it because it's like not Cinema Sins level ribbing, but it's all this gentle ribbing of like someone's like, I'm going to run an IP packet trace, and they're just doing like ping to google.com 20 times. So it's like tippy tappy typing, I'm in. And it's like, I'm glad you pointed that out because I think that's really interesting. That I think that helps a lot because it's like, oh, here I am, and it's just an if-else statement to print out even numbers, and it's like,
whereas Sneakers
I'm
was
into
like
the
the
mainframe.
opposite.
Right.
Like Sneakers did show real hardcore kind of systems analysis codes, trying to figure out what certain things were. I think it's an interesting take because, no offense to Sandra Bullock, I'm pretty sure she's not a hacker.
Right.
But I think the movie does a better job of representing that kind of thing. By not showing the coding, but instead showing the personality, or rather, correction, the expected personality type of someone who lives in that world, where she's ordering pizza all the time, where she's not going out, she doesn't do well in social environments, she doesn't like large crowds. Like, I think showing the personality rather than the job is actually a much better representation in this movie.
Well, and I think later in the movie, too, you get the other side of the coin there, too, where she's like using the other Angela Bennett's computer to set off the fire alarms. And you show her tapping and typing and clicking real quick, and then it just cuts to the fire alarm system lighting up red and saying, here's the fire here. So it's like you see the result as opposed to the means to get there, which I think it's much more exciting because it's like, anybody can understand there's a fire on floor 12 instead of like hack type
and being forced out of the office by your boss because they don't want you there anymore,
right? Despite
the fact that you're there under false pretenses with a fake name, Ruth, whatever your name was,
right?
I like the fact that they basically use her internet history to play against her. Very appropriate in modern day society. That they have taken all of her they send a hitman after her, and the hitman is basically Google AdSensed his way into her life, essentially.
Right.
It's like, oh, what do you look for in a man? This, that, and the other. Do this, do that. You're a hacker, so on and so forth. Hilarious. Good actor, by the way. Never seen him in anything that I'm aware of, but very good actor.
I've seen him in The Crown. He was like the advisor.
Well, surprise! The British dude is in The Crown.
You'll be surprised what this British actor showed up in. But I thought he was really good. I think
he's better. Like, the fact that I haven't seen him in anything, I can't help but think he's a better actor than he's been given roles for. Like, because I think he does a genuinely good job in this of being earnest enough to gain both the attention of us and Angela, but also cold enough to start switching that flipping that switch and just being like, yeah, now you know the truth. Now I'm a hitman. Now I'm gonna come get you.
Yeah.
I do like the fact that he does get extinguished in the end.
Heyo.
Watch the movie, then you'll laugh.
There's even up to the point where she has to pretend to be Ruth Marks. There's so much stuff that happens. Like, the dude is flying his plane and it crashes into a thing because the plane malfunctions.
I'm sorry, but lesson number one in flight school, as far as I'm aware, is
Yeah.
trust your eyes. Like, what
Look
do
out
your
the front
eyes
of the
tell you?
plane.
You
Like,
have windows for a reason. That's why
yeah.
cockpits have windows on it, so you can trust your eyes.
It's
And the
so
guy is
good.
like, wait, I'm coming in for a landing. No, I'm not. I'm about to fly into a power plant, essentially. It's like, go
Yeah.
away. Um,
Wild.
what I One of the things I genuinely did enjoy about this movie is
Hmm.
the counterplay between her mother's condition and her, because her
Yes.
mother has Alzheimer's,
Yep.
um, and the fact that Angela gets several bumps to the noggin, we'll say, and
Hmm.
then every time she gets a bump to the noggin, it's like, no, that's not who you are. You're mistaken. This is who you are.
Right. You're
This
Ruth Marks,
this
right? It's just
yeah,
like,
this is.
no.
I think it's a very interesting fact that it plays on that aspect of it. It's like, is she getting early Alzheimer's, or is
Right.
she
Well, and it's
really
also
through
like
this whole thing?
her mom is, it seems like the last living relative of hers, or at least the only one she has contact in with. So it's
Yeah,
like when she calls her mom to say like,
she
"Hi,
can't
I
prove her
need you to
identity.
tell them that I'm Angela Bennett." She just like
Doesn't
leaves the
know who she
phone.
is.
Yeah, and doesn't know who she is.
Uh-huh.
And I'm just like, "Oh, that's like it's such a smart way of having an out in this movie of like, well, of course my mom would tell them who I am. Of course, it's like you don't have that. Like you don't have anybody except for
Uh-huh.
Dennis Miller is in this movie. Dennis Miller of all people.
Who's Dennis Miller, dude?
He's Doctor. What is it? Doctor
Dr.
Alan.
Alan Champion. Yes.
Number one. His name is Doctor Alan Champion, which is just
Uh-huh.
such a great movie name. But Dennis Miller was like a TV personality, stand-up guy in the 80s and 90s who was
Stand-up
famous.
meaning comedian, not good guy.
Right. Doesn't didn't seem to be a wrong one. But his whole thing was always like he was a little bit more cerebral than a lot of other comedians. He had a stint on, I think it was Monday Night Football, where he was a host, and it was just a lot of like, this game's so long you could have read Tolstoy's War and Peace. Am I right, guys? And everyone was like, the hell are you talking about? It's Monday Night Football. What's going on here? So it's wild to see him in this and in a movie that seems like it's having a hard time figuring out how jokey he needs to be.
Uh-huh.
Because it's a lot of this like ribbing Angela and like not believing her, but kind of believing her, and like both of them falling in love for some reason at some point.
Back in
Um,
love.
yeah, and then getting killed in the
Yep.
hospital. But that's like and like I don't there. Part of the thing I liked about this is I feel like when I think of good thrillers, this is
Uh-huh.
the kind of movie I think of kind of this thing where, you know, there's the great scene where the guy from the FBI
Gets her
comes
out
in,
of jail.
yeah, gets her out of jail. And is like, oh
Uh-huh.
man, I believe you. This guy, we've been chasing this guy forever. Did you make a copy of the disc before it got deleted or before it got destroyed? And it's had the like dun dun sort of moment of just like, oh, he's not really who he says he is either. Gotta go. Um,
Oh yeah, it's the classic. I have information you haven't told me.
exactly.
Complex.
And like that's the thing that I like about thrillers, like the kind of outsmarting the bad guy a lot, you know, giving the homeless guy your phone so that when he triangulates it, which you know he's gonna do, it's heading in the other direction.
Uh-huh.
You know, that's the good stuff. That's a lot of what I think this movie does really well, because it's just, you know, it's almost 2 hours long, and it's a lot of the kind of back and forth cat and mouse stuff ever since she escapes essentially from.
So I will say, based on this season, I think I did come up with another season of
Mm.
Critical Misses.
Oh, okay.
Because the two early internet movies, two references to the same dude.
Oh, which dude?
Gibson, William Gibson.
Oh,
In the last
all right.
one, they had to hack it.
Mm-hmm.
In this movie, it's a drink. And you
Right.
know, in both cases, it is definitely a reference to William Gibson.
Yeah.
I've never read any of his books.
Hmm. I don't remember if I have. If I have, it's been a very long time.
Well, I know the big one is Neuromancer. Like, isn't
Yeah.
William Gibson the dude who literally came up with like so many internet terms?
Right.
Like cyber, one of the cyber terms is his, I believe.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's interesting. Um. Oh, what else do I want to talk about here? This is one of those movies where it's like I was kind of on the edge of my seat the majority of the time, but nothing. There's not a lot that's happening. Um. Like it's a lot of her running away from the bad guy and then trying to get back to her life. Um. I. I. I liked some. Okay, there was actually the one scene I actually really did like is where they're at the fair and there's that guy in a mascot costume that separates them accidentally,
Uh-huh. The
and
guy who
I
knows how to break dance.
is very good. But I kind of liked that that escape sequence on the merry-go-round, where everything is spinning too fast and everything is a little bit off kilter and sickening from a kind of cinematography standpoint. Um,
Uh-huh.
I liked that. Um, I didn't really like when she eventually gets caught and like taken to prison, and there's um, the public defender who's just like, I'll call you the Queen of England if that's who you think you are. It's like, ugh, man, come on.
Cleopatra, thank you very much.
Thank you. But like it's 1995, so like that wasn't really a tired trope by that point.
Yeah, that's
But
true.
watching in 2024 is sort of like, yeah, okay, man, I get it, sure. Um, what else here? I I will always be a sucker for later in this movie where Angela is trying to download all the dirt about
Oh, the save
Jeff
file
Gregg.
prompt.
Yeah,
Is this you? Is
this
this you being a sucker for a loading bar again?
oh my god, the save like
It has
progress
been,
bar and
it
her
has
being come
been
on,
this.
come on, come on,
It has
save.
been established on the main show that we like bars and filling them.
Yep,
We all do.
yep.
Everyone does.
And
Probably
writing
all of
to a
our
disc
listeners
that
do
goes
too.
chunk, chunk,
And this is
chunk.
just a different kind of bar that you like seeing filled.
But the tension of like it's so fun of just like, come on, save, come on. You could do everybody's coming back to their desks. And it's just like,
Uh-huh.
yeah, what are you gonna do when the real Ruth Marks breaks in? Um
That's the
but
name, Marks. I
yeah.
couldn't remember her last name.
But I like too that in that scene especially, we see Angela that not only is she good at manipulating all these computer systems that she's interacting with, but she's smart about physically escaping. Like she runs out.
She's very good at social engineering too, yes.
Right, like she runs out of the place as a firefighter and then dumps the firefighting outfit early enough so that no one can figure out who she is, and like she's always one step ahead of the bad guys, which is really great.
Uh-huh.
She's also one of my I forgot I just remembered about this being one step ahead. There's such a great shot in this movie where the bad guy is chasing Angela and the bridge is gonna start going up, and she like makes this daring jump off of this bridge that's maybe 2 feet off like where the other part of the bridge is.
I don't understand this. Is it going up or is it going down? Because it looks like it's going down.
Oh, I thought it was going up because I thought that's why he was hesitating to not drive over it because it was going to keep going up. But like in any shot, he's always just like 2 feet off the ground. Like you could just get out of your car and like hop down, man. Like or just drive the car off. Like you don't care about this car. You probably stole it. Like, but I don't know. I'm trying to think if there's anything else that is kind of out. The tough part about this movie is the majority of it, because it is a thriller, is just Angela running away from the bad guy and saying, "I'm not Ruth Marks, I'm Angela Bennett," and then somebody being like, "Yeah, sure, lady, okay," and then her like palling around with Dennis Miller, and like almost like it's wild because there's only like really three main characters in this movie. It's Angela, the bad guy, and Dennis Miller's character. So it's not.
I wouldn't even call Dennis Miller our main character. He's only in it for a little bit.
He's there to be like, yeah, sure, I totally believe you, you bananas lady. You're going cuckoo. And it's like, oh boy, okay.
And I would know because I'm your shrink.
Right.
No abuse of power in this situation.
No, definitely not. You're like Dr. Champion. Yeah, I'm trying to think if there's anything. I enjoyed a lot of my time with this movie. I feel like if you listen to this show for any long stretch of time, you'll probably know what I'm going to come here and say. It was a little bit long. I'm a big fan of the 90-minute movie. So it's a little bit.
It was a touch on the long side.
Yeah. But I thought it was good. I thought it had a lot of great tension. I thought it had a lot of really good intensity to it in a way that I don't think I was expecting. I think I was expecting this kind of really cheesy, kind of overwrought. The internet is out of control. Oh, like we didn't have a term for the dark web in '95, but like whatever the equivalent of that would be in this movie. And I thought it was handled pretty well. What did you think here?
I think it was pretty solid. It was. I mean, it wasn't the most intense of movies. Like you said, it was a thriller, but I think the problem we have is in 2020X, to use the Mega Man years system. Right. I think thrillers have gotten a lot more capable of delivering like when the tension is, and like this movie doesn't really have any huge score hits to go along with it. Actually the soundtrack is very very minimal. There's almost none of it essentially.
Right.
It feels like they're not as effective yet as manipulating us as they will come to be in the future. I still think it was a fun journey. It was a fun ride.
Yeah.
Like you said, a little bit on the long side. Maybe we could do without two of the false, really the bad guy moments.
Right.
Performances, I think, were good. It was a genuinely good little movie.
Yeah.
And the fact that, like I said, I think it does a really good job of framing the dangers of a computer-based society.
Right.
While at the same time not exposing the fact that the actors are not actual hackers, kind of thing. I think it does a very good job of that. And the dangers are still real. Butlerian Jihad won.
That's right.
Like,
get rid of all these computers. We're done with them.
Like, yeah. I think it does a good job. I genuinely do.
Let's talk about ratings here. Over on IMDb, 6.0 out of 10. 74,000 ratings. Rotten Tomatoes tomato meter at 43%, with 58 reviews. These older movies like this are kind of a little bit weird since they don't have a ton of kind of reviews from back then
of the time. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And then 44% audience score, and Letterboxd has this at a 2.8 out of 5, which I feel like it's probably a little
harsh.
Yeah, I feel like that's a little lower than I would go. I had a good time with it, but I feel like for me, the lasting impression of this movie before I saw it was, oh, it's going to be a cheesy 90s internet movie. And it really isn't. Like it's a fairly capable mid-90s thriller.
Yeah.
And I feel like a lot of people are probably nowadays going into it with that same kind of incorrect impression and maybe not being able to kind of come out the other side with a different impression on it. So
yeah, definitely.
All right, well, that's 1995's The Net. Thank you so much, everyone, for listening, and we'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.